Greetings everyone, this is Rambling Collector here, back with our last review for Halloween 2023. For this one, I figured we'd do something a little more special. So for tonight, we are going to be talking about DC Comics' Blackest Night event, specifically the 10th Anniversary Omnibus, written by Geoff Johns and penciled by Ivan Reiss. Honestly, I figured this would be the perfect day to talk about Blackest Night. Now for those of you who are wondering what exactly this comic is about, well, allow me to fill you in. So imagine, if you will, you're kneeling over the grave of a loved one, visiting their tomb in the graveyard, and you stand there, wishing, even for just a moment, whether an hour or a day, you could see that person again, hold them in your arms, or just talk to them. Your wish is granted, but not in the way that you're thinking. You suddenly hear a noise, as of flies buzzing, and then you look up, and you see a mysterious black ring coming down from the sky, making what seems to be a straight beeline towards the grave of your loved one. You notice as it burrows itself 6 feet under, meeting the body of that person. Then you look around, and you see more of these rings, identical to the one you just saw, also plummeting into the ground. And then you feel the graveyard beneath you rumbling, almost as if hit by an earthquake. You hear tons of dirt being moved, wood shattering. And you look, and you see hands reaching up from the ground. And then you hear them. The blackest night falls from the skies. The darkness grows as all light dies. We crave your hearts and your demise. By my black hand, the dead shall rise. And that is what Blackest Night is about. Now, for my overall thoughts on this particular graphic novel, this has to be one of the biggest DC omnibuses I've read so far, at a whopping 1,664 pages. And it was all in a very nice hardback, if I might add. This has been one I've wanted to go back to for a while, and seeing as how it's Halloween, this seems like the most opportune time to do so. Now, this omnibus in particular provided an incredibly dark and emotional saga of the dead rising across the entire DC universe, from famous DC heroes like Aquaman and Martian Manhunter, to villains such as Terra and Maxwell Lord. There was even an entire planet that was resurrected. And this whole thing is a central Green Lantern story. But, coming back to that, this entire event was one major crossover, covering stories featuring Batman, the Teen Titans, the Justice League, but especially the Green Lanterns and the other various Lantern Corps, all of whom were combating this universal zombie apocalypse. Now, this is a central Green Lantern story, seeing as how it's literally in the name of their oath, in brightest day, in blackest night. This is a reference to that, as well as, of course, the Blackest Night prophecy that has been hinted at throughout all of the Green Lantern comics, until now. But I will say, seeing all the various DC heroes having to come to terms with all the personal skeletons in their closets was a roller coaster, especially seeing some of the internal thoughts of some of the Black Lanterns themselves. To explain on that, so these Black Lanterns are essentially the reanimated dead. And they are brought back, specifically some of them, to create emotional tethers to the people that they were close to in life, so as to be able to feed upon their hearts and devour all emotion from the entire universe. So, again, we're looking at a universal zombie apocalypse, not just Earth, but you have places such as Oa, the homeworld of the Green Lantern Corps, and all the various homeworlds of the other various Lantern Corps, just across the entire universe, and even across the multiverse, with a Superboy Prime storyline where we see him confronting his own past deeds. It's genuinely terrifying to think about when you really put some thought into it. And honestly, seeing all these dead heroes coming back, like Martian Manhunter, the Elongated Man, and Ronnie Raymond, the Firestorm, I want to say, as well as even Hawkman, Hawkgirl, and even then, as you see throughout the event, more of these heroes keep on dying or being converted into Black Lanterns, ranging from Superman to Wonder Woman, Green Arrow. There's even a Black Lantern Batman that appears that, while not actually Bruce Wayne, it still creates a very horrifying idea of what could be. And needless to say, though, this one definitely enthralled me throughout. And one of the biggest things that actually spooked me a little bit was the one-shots featuring Wonder Woman, Green Arrow, and even Superboy, all of whom were seen within their Black Lantern bodies, their souls essentially being rotted away. But before that, they were aware of what was going on around them. They were seeing their own bodies, hearing their own voices, talking down to the people that they loved. I think the one that really got me was Green Arrow and Wonder Woman. Green Arrow especially, because for him, he was seeing himself targeting the sidekicks, the family that he had built up, even his own beloved wife. He was fighting, screaming on the inside, but unable to do anything. Except for one last action where, using all of his remaining will, he forces his Black Lantern body to forcibly miss. All of that was amazingly well done. And all of this showing the various Lantern cores of the Green Lanterns of willpower, the Red Lanterns of rage, the Orange Lantern of avarice, the Yellow Lanterns of fear, the Star Sapphires representing love, the Indigo Tribes, all of them coming together to face one common threat. Enemies and allies all coming together to face the common threat and just fighting for their very lives. But more than that, though, the artwork is amazing, which I shall show now. Which, first of all, just look at this artwork. It is gorgeous in its presentation. My bad. Forgot the word there. It highlights the spookiness of the Black Lanterns and their rotting half-corpse bodies, while also showing some pretty horrifying imagery, such as Hal Jordan here being repossessed by Parallax, which was apparently a major Green Lantern story for a while. And just seeing all of this, it is gorgeously done and colored, highlighting just how much the universe is descending into an eternal night. But seeing all the plethora of colors of the various lanterns fighting against it, the very light itself fighting the darkness. But another, just to kind of gush a little more about the artwork here, one of the biggest things for me is always the 2-page spreads, because you got to think about it. This artwork is so big that it cannot be held in one page alone. It has to be covered in 2. Some of the best ones, in my opinion, we're seeing Black Lantern Spectre here being recruited, and by God, was he a titan to see. Like, they had to get Hal Jordan repossessed by Parallax just to fight this guy as a Black Lantern. But more than that, I feel like Blackest Night also really gives a lot of good fan service in its own way. Because, I mean, look at this. In just one panel, you see what a lot of fans might have thought, oh man, if these guys were in these Lantern cores, they'd be perfect. Such as Blue Lantern Flash, Star Sapphire Wonder Woman representing love, Indigo Tribesman Adam, Red Lantern Mira, consumed by rage. And of course you have the most, honestly, ironic, but also the most obvious ones, like such as Orange Lantern Lex Luthor, which for those of you who are not aware, the Orange Lantern represents greed, and this fits Lex Luthor to a T. But the most obvious of why haven't they done this yet is Yellow Lantern Scarecrow. I mean, this guy creates fear toxins and fear gas to have people live their most worst nightmares. And I bet a lot of you were wondering when you saw this one, why hadn't they done Yellow Lantern Scarecrow already until now? I mean, he's a perfect fit for the Sinestro Corps. He fits way too well. And just reading him, having what is essentially the greatest high of his life, as he is experiencing what it's like to be connected to the yellow light of fear, that was honestly both horrifying but also really cool. And I've got to say, Blackest Night definitely came up with a lot of good fan service moments here like this. And I've got to say, it really lived up to the hype. But with that being said, let's move on to random thoughts here. So, random thoughts. I've got to be honest with you guys. Until I read Blackest Night, I didn't even know about the other Lantern Corps. I knew about the Green Lanterns, of course, because they're like literally front and center. But just reading Blackest Night made me curious to actually read more about the Green Lanterns, such as where these other Lantern Corps came from. Especially the Blue Lanterns, the Red Lanterns, the Orange Lanterns. All of them. I wanted to study all of them, and believe me, I will when I get the chance. But more than that, the Green Arrow one-shot, I think I got in I want to say a little baggie of various different comics. It was kind of a grab bag in a way. But just reading Green Arrow fighting himself on the inside, trying to use all of his remaining willpower to stop his Black Lantern body from harming itself, from harming his own loved ones, that was hard to read. And it really made me cheer for Green Arrow more. Like, there's a reason why Green Arrow is one of my favorite DC comic book heroes, along with others such as The Question, Aquaman, and I will say a lot of others that I want to pick, but those are just my main ones that I can think of off the top of my head. But now, after this, I'm definitely going to be diving more into some Green Lantern stories, as well as Green Arrow. And if you all have followed my channel for a while, you will see that I will definitely be covering more of The Question, but this one in particular was a fantastic but very exhausting read. And I will say this much, if you are going to read this comic, I would recommend just getting the omnibus from there. It is pricey, but I would say go for it if you want this huge monstrosity of a book on your shelf. It will stand there proudly, and you can look at it and just think, yeah, I've read this. That being said, let's move on to the final score. So overall, I have to give Blackest Night, the omnibus, a solid 10 out of 10 for an engaging and emotional story, as well as a very good pick for Halloween in my personal opinion. And to me, it feels like this is the best one to end Halloween 2023 with. On Halloween night, let's talk about The Blackest Night. I mean, come on, it's kind of poetic when you think about it. But regardless though, if you have read this comic in the past, feel free to let me know your thoughts about it down below. Whether you agree with what I said or not, I'm always up for a good discussion. And believe me, you guys, Brightest Day will also be coming out. I mean, this is a companion piece to Blackest Night. How could I not cover Brightest Day? With that being said, you can look forward to that in the near future. Now, if you like this video, feel free to leave a like, comment your thoughts down below, or subscribe if you're curious for more in the future. However, if you are curious to see some of the other, graphic novels that I've done in the past, I will leave a link to that Comics Ramble playlist here at the end of the video. Or, if you want to see some of the other Halloween reviews that I've done in the past, feel free to click the link to that playlist as well if you're curious for a bit of spooky time. More than anything though, guys, thank you so much for listening. This channel would not be the same without you guys, and that really means a lot to me, that you all take the time out of your day to listen to this crazy book nerd rambling about some of the stuff that he's read and just sharing his opinion. And it really means a lot to me that you all take the time out of your days to watch these. Once again, thank you so much for listening. This is Rambling Collector signing off for now, and happy Halloween, fellow readers.